I wish I knew that the staring and body shaming in Chongqing is extremely intense. Hi, my name is Jessica. I lived in Chongqing for 5 years. If this is your first time on this channel, welcome. This is part 2 of things I wish I knew before I moved to Chongqing.
You've reached the destination. Welcome back to the Chongqing that they don't show you. As I was saying,
the body shaming and staring in Chongqing is unmatched. It is at a higher level in Chongqing than it is everywhere else in this country. Okay, arguably.
People who have never been here will say, of course they're staring. You're pointing a camera at them. Only to illustrate for you what it feels like to be me every single day in this city with or without a camera. I will say a lot of the staring is from tourists, from people who live in small villages and they have finally gotten out to see the big old city of Chongqing and they've never seen foreigners before. But my Chongqing friend, mi gente de Chongqing, they can be extremely vocal about what they see and blunt, and they don't hold back. The number of times I've been called the fat black out loud in public is astounding. Local people stare too, but they're more likely to strike up a conversation with you.
我们拍照，你走了。
那个需要我帮忙吗？
帮什么？
帮你拍照。
我们可以自拍。
好吧，我就搭个讪。
我不要。
哎，你中文很好。
我知道。
好吧，你能不能说点英文 ？Good。
你能吗
No problem. I come from to Dubai. Okay.
Okay.
Nice. Thank you.
好。
Cool. Nice.
拜拜。
Nice.
So while I was out stress jogging this morning, I thought to myself, why is it that after all this time I still cannot ignore people staring at me like I'm an alien, right? And I realized it's because that type of awareness has kept me safe my whole life all over the world. I have to pay attention to people going, God, why are they? I have to pay attention to that because shit like that is how you get got in every other country. So I am at peace with the fact that I'll never be able to ignore it and it will never stop, even though I've been going to the same park for 4.5 years. Chongqing is very safe. There's no need for me to be so aware of my surroundings at all times, but that's just part of my DNA. Despite people telling me, you'll get used to the staring, I never did. Ever.
I wish I knew that Western toilets are everywhere.
At least everywhere I go, I have no problem finding this. Before I moved to China, I purchased one of these. I could have used that in Beijing, I guess, where this happened quite often. Oh, there aren't doors. No, no, no. Boo, 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 boo.
Why?
There's no doors.
I wish I knew that sometimes using the squatters is a lot easier than using a Western toilet.
Most of the restrooms in Chongqing have a few squatters and 1 or 2 Western toilets. Very quickly I learned to use the squatters because the Western toilet often is disgusting.
I wish I knew there is amazing fruit available year-round.
Coming here from Medellin, I was a little bit worried about this. I mean, in Colombia, I had endless supplies of piña, la sandía, aguacate, granadilla. In Chongqing, depending on the season, most of these fruits are readily available as well, including my favorite, shanju, Mangosteen. I don't know who needs to hear this, but Chinese people love watermelon way more than black people.
Chongqing taught me how to shop for food properly. There's no need to ever buy more than what you're going to eat in the course of a day or two, 3 days tops. There's fresh food available everywhere. There's no need to do bulk shopping, but if you want to, there is a Sam's Club available.
任何时候去逛山姆，都可以收获4个字：意想不到。意想不到的家庭装，意想不到的新品，意想不到的惊喜价，意想不到的独有品。总之，就是每一次都能让你惊呼“哇哦”。
是的，前海山姆会员商店真的要来了。今天趁着新店开业前的对外开放日，我们来探秘一下，看看开业以后会员都会有什么意想不到的惊喜。
如果你是第一次逛山姆，那这份必买美食清单一定要收藏好，不然我怕你1年260的年费白花。网红瑞士卷特别大一盒，口感软糯，适合在公司跟同事分着吃。公认便宜又好吃的原味麻薯，韧性十足，满口都是芝麻香。烤鸡居然不用排队，但不好吃，我觉得还是大鸡腿香。全程冷链的进口牛肉，新鲜划算，200多能吃1周，20块9就能买到2升的鲜奶，这个羊毛一定要薅。应季水果基本无雷，最近抢破头的车厘子，双钩28810斤，3钩239 5斤，还有别错过山姆的试吃，基本上逛一圈就能吃饱。你看这给的牛排分量也太足了吧。
I wish I knew the faster I learned Putonghua and a little bit of Chongqinghua for razzle dazzle, the easier everyday life would be. Everyone knows if you learn the local language of the country you live in, life in general will be much easier. However, the tiniest amount will get you so far in Chongqing. It's amazing. Do yourself a favor and learn the basics as quickly as possible. It makes a world of difference. I wish I knew this is not the easiest city to live in as a foreigner. If you ask me, what city should I move to in Chongqing? China. You come to my channel and you see all this amazing stuff about Chongqing, I would say, hold on. Let's have a little chat about the things that you're looking for. This is not an easy city to live in. I have adapted very well. I adapt to many things very well because I moved around my whole life. It may not be so simple for many people to adjust to a city of this size,
A city with this weather, and a city with such a unique population. I often refer to Chongqing as a tiny village masquerading as the largest city in the world, because that's what it is.
Even other Chinese people from different regions have a difficult time adjusting to life in Chongqing. So don't think this is just a Western mentality versus an Eastern mentality. No. People in the same country come to Chongqing and are like, huh?
Seriously, what is this place?
I wish I knew that I'd never get bored. I'm a Sagittarius, I'm adventurous, I can't sit still if I do the same thing for too long. But because I'm like this, boredom isn't really part of my vocabulary. I don't get bored. There's always something to do. And in Chongqing, if you are a person who tends to get bored, that's just not possible. If you get bored here, it's you. It's not the city, it's you. You're boring. Even if you think you've seen everything, you haven't. But even if you did, say you've lived here for 20 years and you saw it grow into what it is now and you have explored every little new thing that they built. If you go back, you will see that it has changed. They are always changing things here. There's always a new exhibit to go to. There's always something new to see. There's always something new to discover in Chongqing. I wish I knew that neighborhoods in this city can vary drastically. The first neighborhood I lived in was not ideal for me, and that greatly affected the way that I lived and had a lot to do with why I just did not like it here. The second year I moved and completely changed everything. That neighborhood was a lot easier to fit into as it was a bit more diverse and international. They weren't as unexposed to foreigners as my first neighborhood was. But the gag is, these two places are in walking distance of each other. Less than 10 minutes away in a car. And that's what I mean about how different neighborhoods can be in Chongqing. I had a friend who had a baby shower for another one of our friends in her apartment complex in the south part of the city in Nanping. and we nearly caused a riot just because of our presence. This is a very, very traditional part of the city, very old school, very much not cool with foreigners being here, frankly. And due to the amount of people that came to support our friend and them having a baby in a foreign country, they were concerned. Granted, this was during COVID time, so they were worried about that. Foreigners coming in and spreading a disease, but it was more than that. It just wasn't a foreign-friendly neighborhood. I had another friend who used to live in Chongqing. She has moved on to another city. And let's take a look at some of the dialogue that we shared, because her neighborhood was also a difficult place to live.
For context, this friend is responding to an Instagram story I posted where she could see her neighborhood in the background. And just because I know you're curious, she is from Canada and she is also a plus-sized queen. It was the worst place I ever lived. I lived a 10-minute walk from there. People were always stopping me in the streets to remind me that I'm fat and stare at me. I rarely get treated like that here. If it hadn't been for Hefei, I'd probably have gone home. OMG, you lived all the way up here? Yeah, this part of the city sucks. A bunch of country bumpkins who've never seen anything. I'm sorry you had to deal with that regularly. I know exactly how it feels. My self-esteem has never been worse than when I was in Chongqing. It's such a weird place. I'm always impressed by foreigners who've been there for years. All my girlfriends here also came from CQ and they had very different experiences from me though. They really liked it. You could put 10 different foreigners in Chongqing at the exact same time for 10 days and you will come out with 10 very different experiences.
It's really important to spend your time before you choose an apartment really investigating the neighborhood of that apartment before you sign a lease. Get to know your surroundings, get to know how things are, because that is going to impact your life so deeply.
I wish I knew that Chongqing is fancy. Despite it feeling like a village quite often, there are so many high-end things to enjoy in this city. So the other day, I was just looking for things to do in Chongqing that I haven't done before, and I was looking at the map, and I realized there is a Roots Chris here. Like, I never knew that. I'm not about to go eat in there, but I just thought that was so interesting. Interesting because there aren't a lot of Western restaurants here, yet there are a plethora of luxurious dining and hotel stay experiences to be had. Although Chongqing is not a tier 1 city like Shanghai or Shenzhen, it still has top tier lifestyle written all over it, with an even better skyline and a lower price tag. As the village mentality fades away and people start to learn how to be civilized, this city will be tier 1 one day.
I don't think I'll miss Chongqing in the way that people say they miss places, because I took advantage of every single day of my life in Chongqing. I wish I knew that even though this isn't the easiest city to adjust to, not the easiest place to live in China, but if you give it some time, you might not want to leave. See you at the next destination.